This is the Premier League preview show, and we're here back to bring you our thoughts and predictions going into this weekend's games. Wagwan, everyone. I hope you're doing well, and welcome back to another stream up on Tereak Talks and another, as I said, Premier League's preview show where we've got plenty of games to come up with this weekend, and I've got no other. Well, you know what? I've messed that up there. no other. I got my special guest, my co-host on this show, my brother Edmin. How are you, man?
Yeah, not too bad. And to quote the great Martin Tyler, and we're live. We're not doing it pre-recorded this week, which I think has pleased a few people.
Yeah, it should do, and it should please a lot of you who are watching either now or later. Maybe you'll enjoy it a little bit more. Let me know your thoughts, guys, in the comments. What do you like? Do you prefer the mix? Do you prefer the lives or pre-recorded? Or, yeah, as I said, the mix, the combination. Let us know indeed. And as there's Will said right there, sup my people, finally a live prediction show. We know which one he prefers. So, yeah, if you are with Wilf, smash that like button. If you're not with Wilf on this one, still smash that like button. But guys, we are about to talk about the Premier League games coming up. And Ed, just before we go into any individual ones, how are you feeling approaching the World Cup? How many games? We've got 3 Premier League games.
3 or 4, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's 3. Yeah, if I was.
I cannot wait as a Wolves fan. I cannot wait to watch someone else disappoint me and not my club side. So yeah, I can't wait. No, I'm super excited. Personal reasons as well. Obviously, your nephew, my son Jacob. This will be his first World Cup that he remembers.
Yep.
The games are on at times that he can watch it without being much of an issue. So yeah, I can't wait for multiple reasons. The big screen's going to be up. We're going to stream the first game watch along together, aren't we? We've already got that booked off work. Big up the employers and allowing us to book a couple of hours off instead of the whole day. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Full stop. I can't wait, to be honest. Obviously, the circumstances around Qatar, the World Cup, all dreadful, but I can't not get excited for it because it is still the best football tournament ever. So I'm going to be excited and understand that it's caveated with a load of awful human rights issues, but I'm still super excited, and I'm a massive hypocrite.
Yeah, I totally understand what you mean. Festival of football, isn't it? The World Cup. So, guys, don't you worry. We'll be doing plenty of content on that. But just before we get into our first game, let's big up each and every one of you that is in the chat. Big up yourself, Mama G. Hope you're keeping well. Hope you're doing good as well. Big up Paxton saying T talking about Arsenal too much again, it seems. New account, my main account is bugging. That's why I'm not a mod. We'll get that sorted for you there, Pax. But big up yourself. That's why I can see you are actually Paxton Pomikel in that photo as well. Big up yourself there for sure. We got Edmin omnipresent right in here, chatting to you guys in there, and I hope you are keeping well. So yeah, better over the past couple of days. If you haven't been feeling great, I hope that you do get better soon, Pax. Physically and mentally, hope you're doing good, and hopefully I can bring a smile. And the prediction show being live, we can talk about it. Hopefully this will bring a little bit of a nice time over this gloomy days in the UK with a lot of cold weather and grey clouds. So yeah, and a lot of change in the country as well. But so big up yourself, G Staffy, as well. Hope you're keeping good. She comes in with a big hello. The clock has reappeared. Yeah, that clock's going to need to be changed on the weekend. In fact, that's a good point. Thanks for reminding me, G Staffy. Prefer the lives, but always life can be busy, so don't mind whatever works. See, you know what? If every guy was like you, Pax, you know what? You're amazing, man. That's how I want my wife to be. Yeah, I mean, she has her preference, but she's happy. Grace, my girl, big up yourself. Wilf, my brother, look at the love in the chat right here. I just have to mention that Tereak got 10.5 points in his first week of doing the championship predictions. I'm doing all right at predictions this year. I mean, I didn't do bad last year, but yeah. after someone took a
Yeah, I took an L. I took an L on that, but I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. Let's bring it up now. Tell people why we're here, T.
You see that he couldn't wait to get that off. This is worse than me talk about Arsenal being top of the league. Look, Edwin has to get that in. Top of the league, 87 points. He's nice 6-point gap between myself and Jacob in second place. So Ed's having fun. But look how tight it is around there, especially in that top 4 positions. Like the people are holding out in those first to 4th positions. And then Wilf, you're gonna have to do a big comeback, my brother. But yeah, it's getting tight in that area as well. So a lot of change can happen. And those of you out at the bottom, all it takes a couple of good weeks. That's all it takes. So yeah. And have a look. Ed's at the top. So there's your you look at underdog story right there.
Yep.
Yeah, G Staffy says absolutely thriving in 8th. Don't worry. Arsenal are finishing 8th lots of seasons. Don't worry about that. Kind of meh, whether you're live or not. I like that. But people, let's get into the first game, 6 minutes in. And let's talk about Liverpool versus Leeds. The reason why we're talking about this first, I think it's a massive game for both sides. For Liverpool, after their horrendous defeat to Nottingham Forest away from home at the City Ground last weekend. Bottom of the team, bottom of the spot. Well, are they bottom anymore? I don't think they are they? Forest?
No.
But they're still in the relegation zone. They were bottom.
No, they are bottom, aren't they? I think it's only goal difference between Wolves and Forest, I think.
Yeah. There you go, right there. So they are still bottom, but yeah, making, maybe trying to build a little bit of confidence. But Liverpool, shocking defeat and a massive game against 4 Leeds as well, where Jesse Marsh is under pressure by his own fans. But Ed, hit us with the records and stats for this one, my bro.
Yeah, so Liverpool versus Leeds. If we look at the last 5 meetings, it is unbeaten for Leeds. They are unbeaten in 5, and the last time Leeds won was in 2001. Doing the stats for this, but obviously that's caveated with the fact that Leeds went into the wilderness for a very long time in 2003 and only returned to the Premier League a couple of seasons ago. So that doesn't help. And if we look at the form of both two teams, if we start off with the home team, and for Liverpool, doesn't include their win yesterday in the Champions League. So I did this all nice and early at the start of the week when I had some time. They have 3 wins and 2 losses in the last 5 games. And in the last 6, if we include this midweek game, they've got 4 wins and 2 losses. And for Leeds, it's not looking good. They are on the back of 4 losses in a row and just that 1 draw. And the wins that they picked up in September, at the start of the season in August and September, are looking a long, long way off in the distance right now.
There you go, right there. And, the form for both sides hasn't been great. And I think a big reason for that is certainly to do with the injuries that they've both been suffering with. Of course, with Liverpool having lots of players out, missing the likes of Luis Diaz, Joel Matip, Naby Keita, Thiago in recent weeks, and even their new signing, Artemelo, but another one who came in, had a very good performance against Manchester City, was Diogo Jota. But in good news, it does look like that Thiago may return after his bad ear infection that he had. And I know you certainly know about ear infections, my bro, and how much they can affect you and how horrible they can be. They definitely, ear infections are bad, and it's really been a hindrance to Thiago Alcantara. And then Jordan Henderson as well, he's most likely to be back. They're still being assessed, and still it's all about trying to get training and get minutes into their legs and just the football at their feet in that sense. But for Leeds, another side that's been injury hit, when we look at a lot of their players, missing the key player in Stuart Dallas, no Adam Forshaw, no Tyler Adams of late, Rodrigo, he's a doubt for this one, as well as Luis Sinisterra, Liam Cooper, and the wonder kid in Joe Gelhardt. So touch and go for a lot of those players. But Ed, how do you see this game panning out? Liverpool at home, even though they did have a poor performance last week, they bounced back against Ajax with a 3-0 victory after a very shaky opening 20 minutes. But they're at home Virgil van Dijk is unbeaten at home at Anfield. Do you think that's going to be a big factor, or Leeds, they might surprise?
Well, I think Leeds impressed me a couple of weekends ago against Arsenal. It's kind of they've surprised me as well with where they are in the league. When I've watched them play, they've always seemed sort of in the games, but then their points total and goals for and against doesn't look great. And when you were just reading out some of those injuries or doubts, a lot of them were the attacking players, which is what piqued my interest in where I think this game's going. And of course, Liverpool languishing for this Liverpool team in 8th right now. A win doesn't even get them close to, doesn't get them past their close rivals in Man United in 6th. They're 4 points off them already. So even a win and Man United dropping the ball maybe over the weekend still doesn't get them into the top 6. So it's this Liverpool team, it's time for them to sort of, kick in, maybe push on before the World Cup starts. Obviously, I'm in agreement with you. I did listen to most of your reaction to the Arsenal game. I think this World Cup could be a blessing for a lot of teams to get some rest for some of those players that don't have to play in the World Cup. And also, if you have a few players that go out in the group stages, they're going to be gutted, but I bet the managers and the chairman are all going to be clapping their hands and being grateful that they're back nice and early. But where do I see this game going? I'll kick us off with where I think we are for predictions. I am going to go for a Liverpool win. Maybe a Leeds loss here. Maybe we should say it with our chest like we did with the Gerrard shout. Is this Jesse Marsh's last chance to get something? It might be a little bit harsh with it being Liverpool away. Maybe you want to touch on that after I give my prediction. But this could be the last time we see Jesse Marsh on the sidelines in his tight jeans. I'm going to go with Liverpool to win 3-0.
Oh, big result there. 3-0. I'm going to go with for this one, with how Liverpool are playing of late. And, at home, they want to have a bounce back and want to try and lift the crowd up, and Klopp will try and get some consistency. A thing that he said in the post-match press conference was where they're knackered, they are exhausted, a lot of these players, and I think that's interesting. And once again, with all these teams that are playing in Europe that have had to play Premier League games last week and then week in, week out, big up yourself, Eddie, in the place as well. I'm going to have to go with a Liverpool win, but I don't think it's going to be convincing. I'm going to go for a 2-1 Liverpool win, right? Still looking shaky at the back. It leads without maybe the pressure's off, and as Wilf has gone for there, the exact same result. I'm thinking the pressure's off them. It's kind of a free hit, a little bit going away to Anfield. They might perform better and might want to probably put a show in there. But I think Liverpool at home, they'll just be able to drag themselves over the line. So I'm going for a 2-1 win. Let's see what you guys have said in the chat, and if you are watching afterwards, get them in the comments down below. Liverpool 2, Leeds 0, says Paxton. So a relatively comfortable Liverpool win right there. Mid-table mediocrity for me and Liverpool, don't worry. And he's gone with the Empanada Carol. So who do you think he's going with there? Empanada Carol? Oh, no.
Exactly. Darwin Núñez, isn't
it? yeah. It is indeed. Ilias, you let us know about your thoughts about what Empanada Carol there, as he's gone for a 6-0 Liverpool win. Konate being back, which will be huge for you guys. So thanks for bringing that up, actually. Yeah, Ibu is back, and that's a big player for you guys, certainly defensively, and trying to build upon that there with the system that you like to play with Joe Gomez's inconsistencies. One moment he's amazing, next moment he's awful. But yeah, it's all about keeping those players fit as well, Ilias, because with the fact that you guys do have a small squad, it's going to be difficult to keep them fit because you're going to be relying on these guys week in, week out. But we'll move on into our next game now. And you know what? There's a little bit of a Graham Potter derby as he's returning back to his old stomping ground where he did so well to get this move to Chelsea. But it is at Brighton and Hove Albion. Going to be interesting to see the reception that Graham Potter does get in this game. But Ed, bring us the records and stats going into this one so that you guys in the chat can make up your mind on the predictions.
Yeah, so Brighton and Chelsea, they've not played each other very, very often in their history. Brighton have only ever beaten Chelsea once, just out of curiosity. I thought I'd let you know that, and that was in 1933 when we're talking pre-Second World War. So they haven't played each other much. I think it's 14, 15 times. So there's not a big sample size. It's been mostly since the Brighton got back into the Premier League.
Yeah.
But the last 5 meetings doesn't read that badly for Brighton, with 4 draws and only the 1 loss in that as well. So only Chelsea picking up the 1 win. But when we're talking about bad, maybe let's talk about the form since Graham Potter left. Their form is not great, with 3 losses and just 2 draws. And Chelsea, since Graham Potter arrived, unbeaten, I believe, unless you tell me differently. And they're on the back of 3 wins and 2 draws. And of course, they performed quite well on Tuesday night and picked up a win in Europe as well. So realistically, in the last 6 games, they've unbeaten and won 4 of them. So, if you are one to go with the form, it's definitely one to back Potter's new boys, not his old boys.
Exactly. And with Graham Potter's old boys and new boys, both struggling with a lot of, not as much as Leeds and Liverpool, but still with key players out injured. One of them for Brighton is Jacob Moda, Karol Mitoma, who I've been impressed with. When he's had little cameos coming on when you're watching him on Match of the Day, the Japanese international. He's quite a joy to watch, the left winger. So yeah, he's back. Speaking of players returning for the World Cup, Harry Maguire's coming on. There is a problem for him, so Mitoma. So hopefully we can see him in a Brighton shirt. But yeah, he's ruled out of this one. And guess what, Ed? There's a shock. Adam Lallana picked up an injury. So
of course he did.
But yeah, so he's picked up an injury, but he might return for this one. That might be some good news for Brighton right there. So in Adam Lallana being fit for this one. But unfortunately, it's looking like Joel Veltman won't be fit for this game. And he's a massive player for their defence and their stability that they build on at the back. For Chelsea, of course, they've got no N'Golo Kante, no Reece James, no Wesley Fofana, as we know. However, in good news, you may see the return of Kalidou Koulibaly and Mateo Kovacic. Guys, right. Brighton versus Chelsea. Ed, you went first last time, so let me go first this. I'm looking at this game, right? I'm sorry, I can only see a Chelsea win. I can only see Chelsea going there. They've just got the firepower at the moment. Brighton, they are a good side, and they still are looking like they cause Man City problems, right? We watched that game together last week, Saturday. We was watching it. And I thought they were pretty unfortunate with a couple decisions. Of course, that didn't go their way. Of course, for that first goal, Haaland, you said it wasn't a foul. I can see what you're saying. I can also see. I'm saying right. If that's the other way around, I do think there is a little bit of. I wouldn't even necessarily say big team bias. I do think there's home bias when it comes to referees with home crowds. I think if that's the other way around, he might rule it out. But of course, they should have had a penalty before that. Let's be honest with Sanchez. So yeah, they did have moments where they threatened Manchester City in that game. So they do have I'm sure they can cause Chelsea a lot of problems. But I'm going to go with a Chelsea 2-1 win. I think they'll just edge it. Graham Potter, he should know this side more than most, and he should know their strengths and weaknesses. And we know as fans and as a lot of people do, one of their weaknesses is they can't put the ball in the back of the net, no matter how many chances they create. Whereas Chelsea, they have that quality, that edge, where they don't need to create many chances, but they can score. So yeah, I think Chelsea will continue their unbeaten run with a 2-1 win. What about you, bro?
Yeah, I think this is one that it's nuts. The XG on this, I didn't put it in because I did the stats so early. I didn't want to change it. But the Brighton's XG at the minute is over 2, but obviously their goals are not what that XG is showing. So yeah, I can only see a Chelsea win. Going against the form, going against history is not kind of what I do. And when I do that, I throw away the predictions League like I did last season. So what did you say? What did you say, T? What was your prediction? I don't want to copy it.
Oh, yeah, I said 2-1.
2-1 to Chelsea. Yeah. I think I'm going to go with the 2-0. I think I'm going to see Brighton blanking again. Not being able to get that ball in the back of the net is their biggest downfall. And obviously, potentially there'll be something in the fact that their players will be playing up against their old boss. But I just see this Chelsea team having too much for it. But it could be a bit of a ding dong like the Brighton Liverpool game was. De Zerbi's first game, so who knows? But I think if you're asking me to pick, I'm going to try and use my head and go for a 2-0 Chelsea win.
2-0 Chelsea. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. Ilias goes for a 2-1 Chelsea win, saying Chelsea that have too much for Brighton. Kind of, we agree there. Great minds think alike there, Ilias. Unfortunately, the quality is just, the edge, it just edges it. And guess what? Also, another great mind is Paxton saying that Chelsea are going to win by 2-1. Trossard, Aubameyang, and Pulisic with the goals. Will did go for a 2-2, but then he listened to the big man speak. Yeah, and he said, I was on the phone. It's all right, bro. It's all right. Now pick up yourself. And when I made that prediction, changed my mind. He's gone for 2-1 Chelsea right there. Built yourself, Luke, as well. Of course, a Crystal Palace fan. Never going to back the Seagulls. So he's gone for a 3-2 Chelsea win, which is, goals in that game. What time is this kickoff? In fact, it is in 3 o'clock kickoff. So we might maybe able to watch it. If we're not in the UK and that. But so it might be one of the games that Moss he does a lot of these goal rush on Saturdays. So we'll go check him out. I don't know if he is doing it though. But 3-2 Chelsea. Chelsea wins right there, and even Wilf changed his mind and he had to back them, even though he doesn't like them. Let's move on into the next games, and we're going to group these together. I was actually meant to do them next, but I forgot. But let's go for the two teams sitting pretty at the top of the league, and we best start with the side that is top, although not great today. Whilst we're recording this, as you know, I did my match reaction, but we've got a game against Nottingham Forest where we can put to bed a little of those not so great performances away from home in the last few games. But we are facing bottom of the league, who are just probably turning up with a little bit more confidence after beating Liverpool in Nottingham Forest. But Ed, I know there's not been many games between Arsenal and Nottingham Forest of late, but there has been a few Carabao Cup and FA Cup ones, of course. So hit me with the records and stats going into this one.
Yeah, I think the last 4 meetings have all been in cups, and then the last one in that form guide there, that win for Arsenal was, I think, when you were about maybe 18 months old. So we are going a long way back with that form. So maybe don't pay too much attention to that form. But if we look at the home side first, obviously, again, this doesn't have the loss to PSV tonight on there, and maybe Arsenal fans will be grateful for that it doesn't show that there. We've got 4 wins for Arsenal with that 1 draw, and I think this loss tonight is only their second ever, if I remember to read properly from earlier on. And if we look at Forest, of course, they're a bit up and down, but a lot better than what they were with that win. All of a sudden, they're sort of not stranded at the bottom. They're quite nicely bunched up with my sad sack of a team, Wolves and Leeds, all on 9 points at the bottom there. 2 draws, 2 losses, and a win for them. So, as we always say this year, Forest don't really look at the form. Maybe the only team you could maybe look at them with is Arsenal, because there have been some recent games, but obviously last year, the win in the FA Cup with that amazing white kit was half of that team was either on loan or isn't at Forest anymore. So maybe you don't even take that into consideration. But let us know in the comments, and T will take you through any injuries or.
Of course. So, people, when we get into this in terms of Arsenal, we know the players that are out are Arsenal fans. Emil Smith-Rowe, he's not going to be fit. Neither is Mohamed El-Neni. And most likely, Alexander Zinchenko, who still hasn't returned to training, so he definitely won't start this game. At the very best, we'll see him on the bench, but I highly doubt that as well. But possibly we might see Marquinhos return, and after he was ill and that he was forced to miss the PSV game and wasn't able to travel. But once again, that's not really going to make a change into the first 11. So yeah, we're quite fortunate in that sense that we don't have as many injuries as a lot of the clubs in and around us do, but these injuries impact us probably just as much given the size of our squad that we're working with. For Forest, though, we know that they have struggled with a lot of injuries so far this season. It is easing up on their list, but the players that we definitely know will be out is Harry Toffolo, Moussa Niakate, Jack Colback, and Omar Richards. But Lewis O'Brien, who didn't play in that game against Liverpool, who is a good player, he was at Huddersfield last season, one of the best players in the Championship by a mile last season in Lewis O'Brien. He was very impressive against Forest, which probably made them sign them in the playoff final, which was probably a big factor in them in Forest signing him for their midfield. So yeah, he'll be back. But Ed, it's your turn to go first, and it'll be interesting to hear your thoughts. Arsenal, we were great. I thought it was brilliant in that first half against Southampton. Should have scored more. I also want to hear about this from you about the refereeing decisions, and then you can talk about how that game, how this game will go.
Yeah, I thought that ref was pretty awful. I think he lost control of the game. The decisions were dreadful.
Liang Cao.
Yeah, the
penalties.
Yeah. The refereeing standard was never great, and it seems to have just got worse since VAR came in. Yeah, awful. Could argue that for a team like Arsenal, they shouldn't be relying on the decisions from officials, but I think that's a bit of a lazy argument because they make those calls, and the better teams should cause the trouble that would then become penalties or fouls or other things. So yeah, it's awful. You never want to just be one of those fans that blames the refs and that kind of stuff. But I think on the balance of probabilities, I think the referee had an impact on that game that was detrimental to Arsenal and Arsenal's league position right now. They're 2 points short, likely, of what they should have had last week. So yeah, it's awful. And talking of awful, you did touch on it briefly. Obviously, Pablo Mari, we're hearing that he's been attacked with 4 or 5 others in Italy as well. So yeah, prayerfully he'll be okay. And yeah, nuts, absolutely nuts story. There's not a lot on it at the moment when I've just had a quick Google, but yeah, it's awful news. In terms of how I see this game going, I'm still going back to a couple of weeks ago when I saw Forest in person, and they were dreadful. They seemed to run their luck an awful lot last week against Liverpool, and Dean Henderson pulled out some worldies. So I can only go with an Arsenal win. Arsenal at home, different beast as well this year, which is something that I don't think many people have been able to say about Arsenal's home ground for a long, long time, to be honest. So I think I'm going to go with Arsenal to win. Do I see you keeping a clean sheet is the only thing that's outstanding in my head. I'm going to go with 3-1.
3-1. 3-1 Arsenal win you've gone with there.
Yes.
I do think we're going to keep a clean sheet, and I think it's going to be a 2-0 victory. I kind of mentioned this in my match reaction earlier on. If you haven't seen it, guys, go check it out. But after this, of course. So, yeah, I do think that our performances fatigue has been a big element, but not just because it's solely focused on Arsenal with our small squad, but because the sheer amount of games we've had in October. And we're going to go through another period, at least 1 or 2 months like that for the remainder of the season. So it's all about getting the results in for me. And at home, we should be able to carry ourselves through this. When I say comfortably, I mean as comfortably as you can in the Premier League, because away from home in the Premier League, you're going to get periods of the game where you're not going to be at your best and you're not going to dominate and you're not going to do that. I think that's a given in any game. Away from home, but at home you do expect yourself to get over that line, to score those goals, the kind of the crowd at the Emirates to suck that ball into the back of the net with the atmosphere that we have right now. We are trying to create a fortress at the home ground. Ed said it there. So yeah, I think we'll be able to do this with a poor Forest side. Still very, very fortunate to grab that win against Liverpool. I thought, with a lot of set pieces where Liverpool should have scored from. I think Arsenal will probably nick one of their goals from that. So I've gone for a 2-0 Arsenal win. I think we will keep that clean sheet. Aaron Ramsdale having a point to prove as well.
Just quickly on that, T. This is a big game, I think, for Arsenal fans that are in the ground, because there's been a little wobble with what happened last week, what's happened tonight. What this can't turn into now is that sort of moaning, sort of not toxic, because that's harsh. The fans seem well and truly on the side, but they can't turn this now into someone misses a pass, someone lets it go, and then everyone's on them. This is big now for this Arsenal fan base to keep this going and sort of drop the AFTV nonsense and all the other stuff that's dogged them for years. It's time for them to reset the balance, and I think this game will be a big one on that, because Forest are going to be there to wind you up. When I was at the game the other week against Wolves, they were time wasting from the 4th minute, and that's not a joke. Dean Henderson was falling over on the ball when he caught it in the box. He was taken out, and that was from the 4th minute against the team struggling. What are they going to do against the top team? So yeah, I think it's a big one for the Arsenal fans as well.
A good point right there, because at the Emirates previously, I don't think we will now with what Arteta's built, but you are right to say previously there's been a lot of moans and groans when misplaced passes or the game's not going our way. But yeah, that's what you need with the likes of the Ashburton Army, the one who wear all black, and they're the ones who they really generate that atmosphere. Me and Wilf and Moss can definitely attest to that, being sat there, and so can Mr. 200 as well, who was in the clock in last week against PSV. They do a great job at that. But let's see what you guys are saying in the chat for this. Paxton 4-0 Arsenal. Saka, Ødegaard, and Jesus brace. That would be massive, by the way, having especially Ødegaard and Jesus scoring, like, just to get a little bit of the those poor performances, those missed chances out of their system. No better way to do it against Forest. So yeah, I would absolutely love that result. And Paxton, I hope that you'll get your magic of last season, and you'll be right there. Not a great result tonight, but we still top both leagues. 3-1 to the mighty Arsenal, which is the same as your prediction, isn't it, bro?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Big up yourself, Rally as well. Hope you're keeping good. So he says, hi guys, Arsenal win by 3-0, I think. And he's got the goals. Oh, this is Ilias with the goal scorers, saying Arsenal 3-0, same as Rally in here, saying Arsenal, Jesus, brace, and a Martinelli goal. Yeah, Martinelli, another one who's not been great since the Liverpool game. I really do think those games against Tottenham and Liverpool have taken a lot out of the system for a lot of these Arsenal players, and it's just about getting back in front of the home crowd, regaining that energy, and hopefully we can reinvigorate this side. 3-0 right there. Forest, Southampton, Leeds in trouble to go down. I think Leicester will be fine. Too many good players. Ed, your Wolves will be okay too. We'll see. Hey, Rally, you might be right. You might. Hey, if you are Rally, you got. Don't let Ed live this down. All right. Make sure.
Keep the receipt. Keep the receipt, because I'll happily refund it.
Exactly. And he also says there, Martinelli, Saka, Jesus to score and win by 3-0. And Ronaldo is offside and he boots the ball into the crowd as he scores. But yeah, so stop VAR, says Paxton. I know who's certainly on that protest, that bandwagon, and that's this guy here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He can't. We'll get into VAR as well when we talk about Tottenham. I look forward to that. And yes, hope Pablo Mari is okay. It's awful news. Ref was shocking against Southampton. He let Jesus get literally manhandled. He really did. Big up yourself, King. And great minds think alike. 2-0 Arsenal right there. There's an Arsenal women's game on right now. You lot's timing sucks.
This man is never happy. This man is never happy.
Hey, he's like a good manager. He should never be happy. Like Arteta. That said, never send men to do a woman's job. 2-0 to the... There you go. Arsenal women. We're doing it. And the Champions League as well. So, yeah, big up yourself right there. And we'll move on into the team that's sitting in second place. But they are everyone's favourites. And it's the battle of the cities. So, Leicester City entering this game with confidence, I'm sure. Don't want to talk about that too much. We'll talk about that when we get to Wolves. But Leicester City, having some good results of late. Is Brendan Rodgers turning the ship around? Is he proving me and Edmund wrong? But Manchester City, they keep on churning out. Well, we said, do you know what? I heard this last week. Oh, Man City keep on churning out results. They just lost to Liverpool. But anyways, yeah. So people forget about that. Like they've just gone on a run of games. But anyways, yeah. So City, they're expected to win in this one. But Ed, please give me some records and stats, please.
Yeah, so it's not all bad news for Leicester fans. In the last 5 meetings, they have actually picked up 2 wins, and Man City have picked up 3. So there's been no draws in 5 in this game. Leicester, if we start with the home team, that form is not the form of a team that everyone was saying was down and out a few weeks ago. 3 wins, including a draw, and a loss. Yeah, including us, definitely. Definitely did not have Brendy keeping the ship afloat.
Brendy, really I'm not saying that.
And for Man City, it doesn't include their draw against Dortmund. But yeah, 3 wins, 1 loss, and a draw. And of course, that draw against Dortmund. So I guess you could argue that's churning out results with only 1 loss in 6 or 7 from memory. But I'm with you, T. I think it's easy enough to get into what we try not to do on this channel, especially not in the preview show, is just churn out the narratives that everyone else does. I agree with you. I don't think we need to say that they are just churning out results. What they are is an impressive outfit with an incredible manager and potentially an injured striker.
Hey, that's a nice little segue. FPL fans, your heart will sink. Because we'll start with them now that Ed said that, as Rashford makes it 2-0. Erling Haaland, yes, he is a doubt. He had 3 things. He said he saw him tired. He's suffering with the flu. And he had an injury to his foot as well. So he was tired. I had the flu, which was probably caused by the flu, and a knock on his foot. So maybe he won't play against Leicester. So guys, be careful there, Erling Haaland, which is the same as João Cancelo. Another one, people. But he's most likely to play. He's most likely to come back. He's even more likely to come back than Haaland in this one. So yeah, João Cancelo, another doubt going into this one. But we certainly know that the 2 Yorkshiremen in Calvin Phillips and Carl Walker, they won't be fit and available for this one there. And for the home side, it's looking better on the injury front. Wilfred Ndidi, he's back in training. That's the most important thing. He's in line with a return for this game here. 50-50 whether Johnny Evans may return, and he's a big plus in that centre-back position. He might build up a good partnership with that Wout Weiss geezer. Geezer, who had a good performance against Wolves. He got specialed out of match of the day I was watching. But and then the other 2 players and their fullbacks that won't be fit is Ricardo Pereira and Ryan Bertrand. But so is it my turn to go first here, Ed?
Yeah, it is.
So Manchester City in second place, with or without Haaland. I'm gonna separate this in my mind.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
I'm going to go with or without Haaland. So Manchester City win with or without Haaland, unfortunately. But once again, we've spoken about this City side, and one thing that I feel like I do this every show. So, guys,
I know what you're going to say.
You already know what I'm going to say. He's in the chat right here. King said it about this Manchester City defense. It's not perfect. If it's the first time watching, King called this well before the season even started about this Man City defense, and me including a lot of other people, like, you know what, they'll be all right. This Man City, like, they haven't really had a drop off, but they have defensive wise conceding more goals. And Leicester, let's say one thing about them, they know how to put the ball in the back of the net. So maybe they will cause a bit of trouble for Manchester City, but I still expect a City win. I'm going to say they're not going to start Haaland, and I'm going to say a 2-1 win for the Manchester City.
I don't think he's going to start Haaland either, but I am still going to go with the Leicester a loss, as you just said. So you went 2-1. Leicester, impressive going forward, but Wolves were awful last week. But I do see them scoring. Man City's defence isn't great, as we do always say. I'm going to go with, I was going to say 2-1, but you said 2-1, so I'm going to say 3-1 in that case. I forced my hand a little bit there. Yeah, I'm not comfortable with that prediction, but let's go with it.
You'll take it, indeed. Let's see what you're saying in the chat, my people. We got Paxton saying 3-1, Manchester City, Daka, Haaland brace, even still, and KDB to score. Or is he saying Daka, Haaland, and brace for KD? I don't know. We'll give you the benefit of the doubt there. We'll give you the benefit of the doubt. And that's in response to why he's never happy, because he's in his words, he's an old git, he says. So City defense is still very shaky. Indeed, King. Indeed. I've given you all the credit. I'm going to do it every week now until they go like a run of games with clean sheets. Then that's when I'm going to say you were wrong. But Rally says 5-2 to City. Weird scoring game, but Haaland to get a couple. Hey, we spoke about both defenses, Rally. So it doesn't sound crazy, does it? Does it, Ed? A 5-2?
No. Leicester's defence, I mean, granted, Wolves were awful last week, but we did create some chances. They weren't great in defence. I did think however you say his name, had to tell the lady next to me it wasn't David Luiz for about 20 minutes. She wouldn't believe me. He was all right, but again, we just didn't have any presence in the box, and we still created some chances. I would say that Leicester could score, but I think they are going to let some in, definitely.
Yeah, there you go, right there. And King saying they did tell people that Leicester would be okay. Hey, you did indeed, but still early days.
I wouldn't cash in just yet, King.
Isn't it? It's still early on that. But he says 4-1 to City right there. We had the 5-2 City from Rally, the 14 more points, and Manchester City are safe from relegation for another season. City winning by 4-0. Indeed. Big up yourself as well, Jordan. Hope you're keeping good. We've got 2 Liverpool fans because we've got Tishi in here as well. Bigging yourself up with the way.
Back from the gym.
Good, sis. Nice to see you here, sis. And let us know your predictions. You can let us know your Liverpool prediction as well, Jordan, for the Liverpool Leeds game. We did that first, and go check it out and our thoughts there. As you've got for 3-0 Leicester, Jordan. I'm with you there, man. I'm with you. You know I am. We'll stick together. Hey, on this channel, I'm sure you guys know there's a lot of Liverpool. I get hate for this from a lot of Man United fans, how I talk about Liverpool and their team. Can we get to 20 likes? Share around, please, if you can, people. Indeed. Big up T for the credit. Edem, big up yourself right there. Big up yourself there too, David. Big up yourself, Wilf, and Niall in here as well. Face is looking like a good for Leicester Fofana replacement. And big up yourself, Farhan, in the place as well, who I believe is a Leicester City fan, if I'm correct. Big up yourself, Farhan. Hope you're keeping good and well. Let us know your prediction for that game as we move on into our next game. And you know what? We've spoken about all of them. We'll set. No, actually, we've still got another 2 top 6 teams to talk about. We'll talk about Bournemouth versus Tottenham, because I really want to talk about VAR and how amazing that was. But first, Ed,
so the last 5 meetings between these 2 teams, Bournemouth have lost 3, won 1, and drawn 1. And if we look at the form of both 2 teams, if we start off with the home team, Bournemouth, on the back of 2 losses, after an unbeaten run of 4 or 5, I think, under Gary O'Neill, with 2 draws and a win. And then if we move on to Spurs, of course, remember that draw they had last night. Was it last night or was it the night before?
Last night, yeah.
Last night. So add that on to the front. So they are 3 wins, 2 losses, and a draw in their last 6. And as we don't praise here, there, and everywhere, T has been telling people for ages, don't sleep on Spurs slipping up. And maybe they're on some kind of slip up right now.
Mm-hmm. In terms of the injuries, which is a part of Spurs' slip up as well when we look at them. But we'll talk about Bournemouth first, as they are the home side, and they've been very well this season. Dominic Solanke, who's been a big miss for them. Hopefully he will be back after his ankle injury. He's got a late fitness test going into this one. But unfortunately, David Brooks, Lloyd Kelly, and Neto are out. And that are two of them, especially in Lloyd Kelly and Neto, two massive injuries right there for that defense, which is what they've built a lot of their recent success on. And for Spurs, of course, it's only two injuries, that we've got on record here. And that's Dejan Kulusevski and Richarlison, both in those wide areas that they are struggling without, especially Kulusevski for Spurs. I do think they're missing him a lot. But Ed, before we get into your prediction, because I think it's your turn to go first, is it?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Bro, what did you make of that amazing disallowed goal for Spurs? I know you've got your thoughts on VAR, and you've been very vocal about saying, the thing is with VAR is, I remember we was having this conversation in the car one time, and you said the thing is with VAR, it's taking that element of joy away from football.
Yep.
When you celebrate a goal, you don't know what to do. You've lost it for that moment. And then you're always thinking, hold on, but what about VAR in this? But what's your thoughts on it? Because it was the right decision in the end. But,
it's the caveat in it with in the end. It's how long it takes. It sucks away the joy. So I watched my team win a game a couple of weeks ago in a dull game. And even though it was a penalty, I was still like, oh, there's still a chance that someone encroached and got a yard into the box and stopped it, and they're going to call it back. And then when Sarr saved it, I had the same thing again. Oh, no, what about if he came an inch off his line, and VAR are going to come in and spoil it again? They've already spoiled the game already by taking 11 minutes. It is the right decision. The biggest thing for me is how long it takes. And I get it. It's a multi-million-pound business. I get it needs to be right. But there is something about watching a goal go in for your team, and you just go up. You check the linesman. He doesn't have his flag up or lines person, and you just go mad. And you can't do that anymore. And I'm never, ever, ever, ever going to believe that VAR is ever going to make me do that again. Wow. Because it spoils so much joy. Granted, it's now funny that we saw Conte lose it and almost tear out his hair, right? It brings different memes and different jokes, but I don't watch football to watch managers get angry. I watch football to see goals get scored, and you go up with it and you deal with it, and it's just awful. It's slow, it's boring, and all it does is sucks the joy out of a game which is so simple and so beautiful. And I just think that it ruins those moments.
Right. A lot of that I agree with in terms of VAR. Certainly needs to have workaways around it. You've been to a couple of games recently, and you said about the fan experience where you have no idea what happens and it takes so long and you don't even know what they're looking at. Certainly need to improve. There's a lot they need to improve in that aspect. But in terms of that joy, Spurs fans and Spurs players, and they all still lost it. They all were caught up in that moment. They still screamed. They forgot about VAR for that moment, because you do when you score those goals. You might be a bit different. A lot of these people do. And guess what? With Spurs, one of their greatest moments in recent history has been a disallowed goal themselves. Manchester City against Spurs in the Champions League, where Maurizio Pochettino was crying, hugging players on the pitch, celebrated that just as much as a goal. Spurs fans remember that moment when it was disallowed, when it looked like Manchester City were going into the Champions League. So I hear what you're saying in that aspect, but it does still give another perspective, and it adds emotion into it as well, because it gives you that joy from the opposite fans' perspective when you feel like you're devastated. Like, I was watching that, right? I woke up from a nap and I was like, Spurs are drawing. No way, this is crazy. But imagine if you're a Sporting Lisbon fan now, right? You're watching that. They're not even thinking of VAR in that moment. Like, they're thinking, oh my words, we've just conceded a last minute. We didn't even deserve it. We didn't get what we deserved. We deserved at least a point in here. We had plenty of chances, and now we're going home. And then if you would have looked back at that and seen that it was offside, how aggrieved would you feel then? And that could be, remember, for Sporting Lisbon, they don't have the money that the Premier League clubs do. They don't get that from their league. And that could have knocked them out of the Champions League. So it would have been more egregious for them in that sense.
Yeah.
So I guess it does. Yeah, it does in a way. Yes, it makes you check yourself again. Because I lost it. I remember against Fulham, that last minute winner. There was a long VAR check for that as well afterwards. But I still lost it in that moment when we scored that goal and Gabriel scored. I went, yes, I lost it. I went, was we watching it together? Yeah. I still lost it. And then when VAR came, I was nervous. I was like, no. But then when it was given, I cheered again. And it gave you an even more of like a... So yeah, I think there are equilibriums, but I just think overall, if they improved VAR, like when I say improved VAR, if they improve the people working it would help a lot more and make... the fans know, let them know what you're checking at least. Like what me and Will will attest to, and Moss as well, and anyone else who saw that Arsenal-Leicester game. One good thing Arsenal did, and they're not allowed, you're not supposed to do it. They showed what.
Yeah, Wolves did too.
They said this is what they're checking, the incident that they're checking. So you know what's happening now. Like, whereas a lot of stadiums, you don't have that, and you don't have a clue what's happening. So it's a horrible fan experience because you don't know what they're checking. And especially the one thing I don't like is, it's when they're checking a goal, but then they check about 3 different things.
Yeah.
Like, so they start looking for a reason to stop goals being conceded.
Yeah.
So that I don't like that. But yeah, if it gets you to the right decision ultimately.
Yeah, I think that's key. It's a necessary evil, but for me, I just think it's too slow. It just... there's no thought for the people in the ground. It's too slow, and it'll get there. But I just think the only counterpoint, and we can talk about VAR all night, is I think give it 2 or 3 seasons and it's not fixed. Everyone will do what I'm doing and check before they start celebrating, and they will lose. Because if we get 3 or 4 seasons down the line, and you're bringing up all these, I remember when we jumped around and then it got took back like the Man United game this season. You'll all of a sudden, you don't want to be embarrassed, but like by that again. And I think in 2 or 3 seasons time, we might see that's the only thing I've got is but it's a necessary evil. Like you said, that's huge for Sporting Lisbon. It means a lot for them to still be with the chance to earn more money later on. So that's my only issue with it. It's got to happen. It just needs to be quicker. That's the biggest thing for me. Just needs to be quicker.
Yeah, I do hear that indeed. And let's talk about Bournemouth versus Spurs, and then we'll get into... Do you know what? Before we do, actually, let's hear about some of your people's comments in terms of VAR, because, I don't want to talk about the game and then end up going back. So we may as well, whilst you've got it right here, right now. We got your predictions in there. If you haven't sent them in, let us know indeed. Paxton saying VAR ruining football right there. That was so funny to you as an Arsenal fan. I don't really care. I thought Emerson was offside too, and Ronaldo has finally scored. As an Arsenal fan, I don't care. I thought Emerson was offside too, and Kane, but I'm an Arsenal fan. Indeed, yeah. So we took a lot of joy out of that. Certainly so. Who's won a game? Well, the Forest.
I was there. I was definitely there. I saw it and everything.
Exactly. Sporting Lisbon, a Spurs Bolga team, they cannot beat them. Decent side, very good manager indeed. In Ruben Amorim, he's got a lot of chapters right now. Was it 5 minutes or 6 minutes waiting? Ridiculous VAR. Yeah, that's where I do agree with Ed and yourself there, Rally. Way too long to make these sort of decisions. I know it's about getting to the correct one, but if you're taking that long, it's a madness. VAR finally working correctly. Kane disallowed goal, absolutely correct. Added bonus, I got to watch it on replay, and Conte explode. King says, I think the ref is ruining the game, not VAR. And I get and respect your point, Ed, but we need VAR in football. There's too many errors.
I agree with that.
We don't win the FA Cup without VAR. Very good point. Very, very good point indeed there, King. But yeah, I do see what you're saying. Like, we do need it, but there's still elements that they definitely need to improve on. And it's not with VAR, it's with the people controlling it. Big up yourself, B&B. You got your predictions in there. We'll get him saved in as well. The sporting manager didn't think about VAR. He totally reacted to. He sunk down to the knees. I saw that. He didn't think about it. He was gutted. And then when he saw it, when it got disallowed, he had no idea what happened. He was like, "What? Is it being disallowed?" It was good to see. Big up yourself, Hanif, as well. He says, "I see a Gooner and a Ginger Wolf." Big up, boys. Hope you're keeping good. And yes, thanks for that, David. Pop them in later for sure. Yep, T-Money, showing VAR check made a whole world of difference. And 100% it's the people behind VAR that need changing, not VAR. I think we've got too many dinosaurs around it. That's why. I think they purposely, like, I actually think they hate it themselves, a lot of these referees, like, because
it's taking away their control, isn't it?
Yeah, and their flaws are getting more exposed. That's why. And that's why I don't think they like it. It'd be interesting to like kind of hear their thoughts on it. It would be. And yeah, CR37, he did just score indeed. But yeah,
nothing wrong with being 37. He's a week older than me.
There you go, right there. So predictions for this one. Is it your turn to go first?
I've got a scrappy 1-0 away win for Spurs.
Yeah, scrappy 1-0. You know what? I'm going for it. I'm gonna go for it. I said Spurs to win last game. Forget it. I'm going with a draw. 1-1 Bournemouth. Come on, you cherries. Yeah. Wilf did make a massive point earlier, which we'll get to in terms of Neto. I think he's got the highest save percentage in the Premier League right now. Neto, which is
his first game was against Wolves, and he was brilliant in that game in a 0-0 that started their sort of upward trajectory and started our demise even more so. He was really, really good in that game, though. Really good.
Mad. Yeah, you see, he's got the mad thing is he's got the high save percentage. He's having a Jose Sarr season. That's what he is. Jose Sarr was excellent last season, doing that. So yeah, man. Big up Neto right there. Will, I did see your comment about that, and we'll get to it for sure. Paxton says 2-1 Spurs, Solanke, Son, and Kulusevski, who's injured, so he won't be playing in this one. Going 2-1 Spurs, just because Gary O'Neill is doing a good job at Bournemouth. Why has he not got the job? It's weird. Only lost 2 in last 6. Give him the job at Bournemouth. One thing I'll say to that, look what happened to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer when he got the job. Sometimes it's all, it's all right to ride the wave of the interim and that. Like, just do it and then don't commit too early. There's no need for it, is there? Like, he's happy to do the interim job. Like, if he's happy to do that, then he's not.
Leave well alone, innit? Leave well alone.
Exactly. Let's be honest, yeah. Like, he's not gonna, like, no other Premier League club is gonna sack their manager and get Gary O'Neill, I don't think, until at least the end of the season. So yeah, give him the full season, see what he does there, and Bournemouth might repay Bournemouth, with loyalty by them giving him the opportunity. Why are you people forcing me to make a Spurs 2-0? Hey, I went for a draw, bro. Hey, you're on your own there. I didn't go for that. That's you. He goes for Kane to score instead. It was Rally who said this. I was bringing up Wilf. It is you yourself, Rally. Is Neto out? Really good. Defo 3-1 Spurs because Neto saves a lot of shots. Big up yourself, Rally, right there. Giving Wilf the credit here because, goalkeepers union and that. Too many injuries for Bournemouth. I reckon a boring 2-0 Spurs win. And let's see. We got B&B 3-1 Bournemouth, of course, with VAR tears. Spurs 3-1 Spurs, says Rally right there. So we'll move on into the next game. And he's already read my mind. Manchester United versus West Ham. Man United are going to come off the back of, some really good form going into this one. But West Ham finding form themselves, consistency with David Moyes. I think probably it's going to be, I don't think it's going to be the most entertaining game of the weekend, but I think it's probably going to be the hardest one to call, this one. So Ed, let me know of the records and stats going into Manchester United versus West Ham.
Yeah, so Man United versus West Ham with just the 1 win in the last 5 for West Ham. Again, no draws in the last 5 meetings between these two teams. It's also randomly the 150th time these two teams would have played each other as well, which the stat thing told me when I was looking it all up at the start of the week. Man United, they're playing right now, winning, I believe, so you could add a win to this. So in the last 6, let's say, they've had 4 wins and 2 draws. So Man United unbeaten in at least 6. And if we look at West Ham, who are, I believe, also winning at the moment in a little slide that they've had, with in the last 5 games, 3 wins, a loss and a draw, and most likely another win in there as well. So form for both teams relatively similar, but the overall meetings definitely favour the home team.
There you go, right there. In terms of the injuries, of course, Manchester United still playing, so there could be more after this. But we do know with Manchester United, players are coming back. The likes of Van der Beek has returned. Ronaldo's now back into the squad after Erik ten Hag has done an amazing job getting him back on side and getting him back into the team and handling that situation, which I think he done perfectly well. Let's see how that plays out for the long term. But in terms of injuries, Anthony Martial still a doubt going into this game. He's not in the squad tonight, as well as Aaron Wan-Bissaka. And then, of course, we know with other players being out is Rafael Varane, who's most likely not going to play until the World Cup. It's a race against time to see if he'll be fit for that. I'm sure Didier Deschamps will pick him if he is available. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting one for Rafael Varane, but I'm sure we won't see him play before the World Cup. So let's have a look into West Ham. And of course, they're still playing as well. Paqueta, shoulder injury, most likely not going to return to this game. But for the next one from the 6th of November, Maxwell Cornet, the same for him as well, missing out with a calf injury. He's most likely not going to play, as well as Craig Dawson too. But Naif Ajerd, who's their big signing with a lot of hype surrounding him, is playing tonight. I'm sure he's had some minutes in his legs, but I highly doubt that he will start this game against Manchester United, but he will appear on the bench and he might give a big boost to that West Ham backline. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But for this game, how I see this going, it's going to be an interesting one for Manchester United because, out of recently, they've had some really good performances at home and away from home against Chelsea for the majority of the games against Spurs and Chelsea. They grabbed the draw, which I think is the least they deserved in that game against Chelsea on the weekend, which is another one that we watched. And yeah, pretty sightseeing Kovacic, wasn't it? But yeah.
Saw an awful lot of him.
Too much of Kovacic, exactly. But then, yeah, so then, Manchester United, it's all about if you can do this, if you can build a little bit of consistency with your performances and you can get the result and move, then the future's looking bright and you're certainly knocking on the door for top 4 with Erik ten Hag in his first season, which I'm sure you United fans and Erik ten Hag will be more than happy with. But it's going to be a difficult test against a side that's going to be difficult to break down, that will be sitting in their low blocks, and you're going to be coming up against a counter-attacking side with quality going forward. And that is a true test, isn't it, bro? When we think about the Premier League. And if you are going to be a top side, Man United, you're going to have to do this at home. But I think they will do it. I think it's going to be tight, though. Don't think, they're kind of building their foundations off of their defense. But I do think it will be difficult for them to keep a clean sheet. I'm going to go with a 2-1 Manchester United win. What about you, bro? Do you see West Ham doing an upset?
No, I've gone for 3-2. I've gone for goals in this game. I just see both teams trying to get some goals. Scamacca is one of those players, I think, that's either going to score or not score in bunches. So I'm backing him to maybe pick one up in this game. But yeah, I just think Man United maybe have a little bit too much. And obviously the West Ham and Man United both playing on Thursday night sort of negates any kind of fatigue factor. So I'm going to edge it to the home team, but I'm going to edge it with goals. I believe this is Sunday, isn't it, this game?
Yeah, so, it's the last game of the weekend.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that it rounds the weekend off with a bang and get 5 goals, 3-2.
I think you got a fair point saying that, because Varane's injury. It's going to be an interesting one. Me and Ed, we have to eat some humble pie so far on Lisandro Martinez because he has been impressive in recent. He's been impressive really since he's partnered with Varane there in the back line. But it will be interesting to see who partners him and if he's able to keep that level of performance that he has shown in recent weeks, not having Varane, because I do think they match each other well stylistically in that sense. So yeah, as I said, every good centre back has a good partner, really, don't they? When you think of it. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one there. But I do think they will concede right there. Let's see what you guys are saying. Paxton, he thinks they will keep a clean sheet and it'll be a Manchester United 2-0 win. Rashford and Bruno with the goals. Big up yourself as well, Bobby K. Hope you're keeping good. Big up the big K and little K. If you haven't, guys, go check it out and see on the 3 Spurs boys. Ed was in there in the comments. The other night on Tuesday. What did you think of it, bro?
Yeah, it was good. It was a bit hectic, but I enjoyed it. My favourite part was when they made you have to say all those Tottenham players. That was I love that.
Yeah, you can skip that part when you're watching it there, people, if you're an Arsenal fan. But yeah, go check it out. 3 Spurs boys. Big up by Big K, but Daddy K, Big K and Little K, indeed. United 1-0 win. They're solid in defence, not very creative, but look like fighters under Erik ten Hag. Yeah, they're not really converting a lot of their big chances. But to keep a clean sheet, it's going to be difficult, bro. It will be. This is a close one, maybe a 2-2. I'm going for the reason Anthony is playing amazing and West Ham are a battling team. Closest one to call all weekend. Definitely agree with you there, Rally. Is Varane out for the World Cup? Top player. He's out. He's certainly not going to play before it, but he might play.
It's until, isn't it? I think that's what they've said.
Yeah, until. That's the big word right there. My gut tells me a 2-2, but it's Man United at home, so a 2-1 win. And I was thinking then, before I even read it, yeah, he's mentioning the ref here, and he says, with the ref getting the winner. Indeed. Mikalenko, he's an Everton player, Mikalenko. So yeah, Matt Cornet fast. I've seen him play at Lyon and Burnley. Very good, a bit like Saint Maximin. He definitely had that Saint Maximin impact at Burnley, but can he do it for West Ham? We'll see. Man United have got better in their last recent games for sure. Great hat, Tereak, exactly. And wearing the same outfit in that video right there. Lindelof in the place, probably. Exactly. And 793 saying, big up Tereak. And I'll let you read that one here, Ed.
No, thanks.
He's saying, up the Villa. Hope you're keeping good. Hope you're keeping well. Thank you for joining in the place right now. How many games we got to get through, bro?
Quite a few, I think. Quite a few left.
We still got quite a few. We still got, you know what? We'll do Newcastle versus Aston Villa. And then we've got, I believe it is only, we've got a few more.
Brentford, Palace, and
Brentford, Palace, Fulham, Everton, and Brent. Yeah, exactly. Let's go. We'll do. Yeah. Speaking of Villa, this is perfect timing, isn't it? Newcastle United versus Aston Villa. Unai Emery returns back into the Premier League. I'm sure we'll have a bit to talk about. In this sense, this is the side he rejected just more than a couple months ago, less than a year ago in Newcastle. But Ed, records and stats for these fallen giants, as people say. But
yeah,
Newcastle certainly aren't one at the moment.
Well, good evening, everybody. Let's crack on. So Newcastle versus Villa, the last 5 meetings. Bit up and down for both teams, with a win for Newcastle, 2 draws and 2 wins for Aston Villa. And of course, Villa without now Stevie G came back with an absolute vengeance at the weekend. So Villa's form, much better with that win there. 2 draws, 2 losses and a win. Newcastle form, incredible. Into the top 4 with 2 wins, a draw, and then another 2 wins in the last 5. So unbeaten. Eddie Howe's team, and it is at St James's Park, I believe. Is that right?
It is indeed. Let's have a look at this Newcastle and in Aston Villa's injuries for them. Of course, we know with Newcastle, they've been missing the likes of Alexander Isak, who's not going to return, certainly until after the World Cup. Alan St. Maximin is a doubt, so we're not expecting him to see a return this week. And the likes of Matt Ritchie, Emil Kraft, Paul Dummett, Carl Darlow, and Elliot Anderson all out of the squad. But a lot of those players are squad players in that sense. So it's not making a real dent, whereas the main ones in the first 11 is St. Maximin and their record signing in Alexander Isak for Aston Villa. Interesting. So he's not taking over this game, Unai Emery. So it's not actually his first game. In fact, I think he's taking over from the 1st of November. So it still will be that Dank guy. What was it? Was it Adam Danks or something like that?
Yeah.
He's still taking over. So Boubacar Kamara, who's actually returning much quicker than expected, and he may return even with this weekend, and that will be an amazing, miraculous recovery if he comes back into the side. But will be a huge boost for Aston Villa going forward into the future. But he might, you don't want to really risk those types of injuries and then cause even more damage. So it's a bit of a sticky one in them situations. But Luca Dean also out, as well as Gustinson and of course Diego Carlos. So both left backs are out, which that's going to mean Ashley Young going to be playing there. But Ed, we need to talk about this, right? So Unai Emery at Aston Villa. How do you see this going? If you had to make an early prediction right now, how do you see this working out?
Early prediction, I think I'd go with Newcastle on their roll right now, is where I would go with it. I think Villa did show a lot last week in that early rush, really, because it was 3-0 after about, 12 minutes? Was it something ridiculous? Yeah. But I am still I think I will still edge it with Newcastle. Obviously, the Villa players, whatever was going under Gerrard, he'd lost them, hadn't he? I think that was the thing we talked about at the start of the season, didn't we? With Gerrard stripping the captaincy from Tyrone Mings, seemed to have put a few noses out of joint. So maybe that was the start of the slide that he couldn't arrest, really. But I think I will go with a Newcastle win. I think Callum Wilson's goal, whether or not it was a foul at the weekend, it was a great finish.
Definitely wasn't a foul.
No, I wouldn't say it was a foul either, but it was definitely Hugo Lloris sort of acting it up after he got hit. I think, where do I go with it in terms of scoreline? The Newcastle's backline is quite impressive, actually. I think I'm going to go just with the one, just with the one goal, 1-0 Newcastle at home.
Interesting.
Keeping that going.
With Emery at Aston Villa, I've kind of mentioned it to a few people in the chat. So this is the first time I'm really speaking about it. I don't think it's going to work out. If you follow me on Twitter, you may have seen the tweet as well. But I don't think it's going to work out with Unai Emery at Aston Villa for multiple reasons. One, the language barrier was a big issue at Arsenal. The fact that English isn't his first language, a lot of the players, he wasn't able to get his tactics and his style communicated to the players a lot. Maybe benefit of the doubt, a bit of time's gone on, he may have learned from his mistakes, may have developed his English a little bit more, and given time he may have done that. But another thing is the style of football at Aston Villa that he will play. I don't think Aston Villa will like that. And I guess it's kind of rich to say, I do think that football fans if you're not in the big six sides, and Ed will certainly attest to this as well, it's all about getting results, isn't it? But he's not exactly known of building strong defenses. Okay. When he was at Arsenal, we conceded 20 shots to Watford. We conceded plenty. We easily 15 shots minimum per game with Unai Emery. And that's at Arsenal with much, that Arsenal team weren't great by any means, but better than what, Villa have been of late, and better than this current Villa team. In that sense. So I actually don't think it's going to work out. He seems to be a short-term manager in that sense. He doesn't really have a clear identity or a philosophy in how he wants to build things. He doesn't really have a strong defense. He doesn't really make it like you're scintillating an attack. It's not great to watch, and I think it will be an issue for Aston Villa in the short to long term. So I don't think it's going to work out. And I think Newcastle were, they're the ones reaping the rewards of him rejecting them, with Eddie Howe having a manager who does know and have a clear philosophy in what he wants to do, building them on intensity. I think Newcastle are going to win as well. I'm going to go with a 2-0 Newcastle win in this one at home. They're going to bring themselves over the line, and Newcastle are a serious team, especially without Europe. That's going to be with their advantage later on into the season when the likes of Arsenal, Manchester United, etc., are all going to be competing in the Europa League and challenging on both fronts. They'll be able to focus on the Premier League. So I think they're going to do all right in the long term, but they're going to need to win these types of games if they do so right there. So, Ed, you've given your predictions. In fact, let's have a look at what we're saying right now in the chat. What we got? Newcastle 3, Aston Villa 2. So Paxton's gone for goals right there. Opposite of you there, bro, saying goals for this one. Going 2-1 Newcastle. I was shocked when that was announced. He's done great at Villarreal. What a step down. Wow, top 6 in La Liga. Now a mid-table Premier League money talks. Exactly. Definitely does. Gerrard was sabotaging Villa. Big up yourself, Asiro, as well. Hope you're keeping good. Nice seeing you in the chat right here. Isak and St. Maximan out of this world. World Cup. Yeah. What a top player. And it is the 1st of November indeed. Big up yourself in the place. IVCE. I'm guessing that's ice. Hope you're keeping good as well. Henry will come back to haunt Arsenal. Maybe that'll be an interesting game. It will be an interesting one. We played against Unai Emery, and he had the better of us when at Villarreal at that point when they did make it through. Ashley Young playing on fire at the moment. He's playing like he's 27, 37 guys exactly. Newcastle 2, winning by 2-0. Newcastle quietly going about their business. Dark horse for the top 4 indeed. Newcastle 2-0. Trippier playing good. Callum Wilson, good. Joe Willock leaves Arsenal and decides to start playing amazing. I think it's just giving him opportunities, isn't it? And Eddie Howe, he's doing well with them. T decided to focus on Premier League games after witnessing his team get beat in the Europa. Pick up yourself, Kendall. I did do a match reaction to this, in fact. So yeah, I did indeed. But big up yourself right there. Big up yourself, Munzi in the place as well. Hope you're keeping good. CM's in here, my brother, saying blessings, TED Talks, and large up the TTF. No way that was a foul. Moment Lloris comes out of his area. He's a normal player. Exactly. He's an outfield player when he does that. And that's never a foul for an outfield player. Wilson just stood his ground. Indeed. I got this strange feeling that T doesn't rate Unai Emery. I don't personally. I don't like his football. I don't think his football is sustainable for these big top sides. I don't think it's the greatest in that sense. But I respect him for what he's done at Villarreal and Sevilla and the Spanish clubs. But when you saw him with a little bit of expectation, that Villa fans certainly do have, because they're a big side, and they will have an expectation of, we've got Unai Emery now. Let's get European football. Don't work like that, man. It don't work like that. You've seen plenty of sides try and do that in the past, and it don't work like that at all. Unai Emery was awful at Arsenal, did amazing at Villarreal. They're just behind Barcelona and Real Madrid, probably the third, fourth. They didn't finish third or fourth, though, did they? I know they made a good run in the Champions League. He's a cup manager in that sense, where he keeps games close, he keeps them tight, and you can edge it in that sense. Europa isn't for everyone, T. What do you mean, man? Like, we're still top of our group. You know what I mean? But yeah, Emery has a better overall percentages than Arteta in every stat. Up the Villa, he says, the 7-9-3. Hey, we'll see. We'll see about that. Arteta's top of the league. Is Unai Emery? No. Unai Emery and Villa could be a good fit. Both decent mid-table. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I think that is his level, but the expectation is going to get beyond. I think Aston Villa fans are expecting Unai Emery to get them into Europe, not this season, but eventually. And I don't think Villa are going to be able to operate like that as well. Big up yourself, Ty, in here. Nice seeing you here in the chat. I hope you're keeping good. It's been a long time, my brother, but I hope you're keeping good. Hope mum and dad are keeping well as well. Nice to see you in the chat there. So, man, big up each and every one of you. Ed's return. How are you doing? But I can hear myself then. Hey, there we go. That's all good.
Yeah, so the computer's just completely shut down, so I've had to go quickly onto the laptop instead.
Do you think it overheated or something?
Yeah.
Ah, fair enough. Yeah, you can see it shutting down, isn't it? Like, what was that? What happened to the camera?
I don't know. It's weird. Absolutely weird. Don't know.
Oh, wow.
So I can't see anything now. You're gonna have to press all the buttons.
Oh, okay, that's all right. That's fine. That's fine. We'll group these games together anyway. So you know what? Yeah, we'll group them together because we've got 3 more games left to go. No, is it 2? No, 3. Fulham versus Everton, Crystal Palace versus Southampton, and Brentford versus Wolves. We'll start off with Fulham versus Everton first. Let me just get these banners. Ed usually knows where they are, and so let me get them up for you right now. Fulham versus Everton, we'll run through them stats. Crystal Palace versus Southampton, then Brentford versus Wolves to finish it off. So, is this the last 5 meetings for them? Which is, Ed, if you could bring me the stats and figures for this year, if you can remember, as I'm running through them.
Well, yeah, no, so that's them ticking along the bottom. So Fulham have won 2 of the last 5, with Everton winning 3 of them. And then the form, if you just scroll up to, you'll see it there. So Fulham on the back of a couple of wins, a draw, and 2 losses. And Everton were on the back of 2 wins, but 3 losses in the middle for Frank Lampard.
Interesting, right there. And then in terms of the injuries, any big injuries for the Fulham or Everton sides? We've got, Kenny Tete, who's expected to return. Daniel James, who's able to return after playing against Leeds in this one, so he couldn't face against his parent club. Livan Kazawa and Manor Solomon are out, and that also goes for Everton. Of course, without Ben Godfrey, without Townsend, without Mina, but Nathan Patterson is going to return, and that's a huge plus for the side. And then we also move on into the next game, which is Crystal Palace versus Southampton. And let me get that Everton one off the screen. I'm not as slick as Ed as this, am I, people? I'm not indeed.
Because you're having to do everything now, because I've got nothing now. It's really annoying.
Exactly. Go on, my brother.
So for Palace and Southampton there, if you see it, the ticker at the bottom, we've got 2 wins for both teams and 1 draw. And of course, Palace's form there, Teaser's brought up on the back of a loss last week to Everton, 3-0, a win against Wolves, and then a draw and a win and another loss. And there for Southampton, of course, that controversial 1-1 last week, a win, a draw, and 2 losses.
Exactly. And in terms of the injuries for Crystal Palace, it's going to be an interesting one here, of course. No Nathaniel Klein for this one. No Chris Richards. Check the core, though. He's expected to return after his suspension, and they missed him a lot. I saw a lot of criticism for Luka Milivojevic out online. But Jack Butland, James MacArthur, and Nathan Ferguson will also remain out. And for Southampton, who are, they've hit a little injury crisis themselves with Carl Walker-Peters and Bella Kotchap being out, as well as Romeo Lavia and Valentino Livramento. But the good news is Bella Kotchap and Lavia could return for them, and that could be a massive boost for their sides. Given the fact of 1-1 draw, they're more than happy with that, surely. Ainsley Maitland-Niles is also expected to return. He had a good performance against Bournemouth, as he couldn't play against Arsenal, as it was his parent side. And for last, but certainly not least, because they're second bottom due to goal difference, nearly could have said last and definitely least in the table, but that's Brentford at home against Wolverhampton Wanderers. The last 5 meetings right there, bro.
Yeah, the last 5 meetings doesn't read that badly for Wolves fans. So 3 wins for Wolves, 1 win for Brentford, and 1 draw in the last 5. Brentford's form, a bit up and down, 2 draws, 2 losses, and a win. And Wolves is, I think I could do that off by heart. It's a loss, a win, and then 2 more losses, I think.
Hey, there you go. Right there. You saw that win. You know, it's rarity nowadays.
And the last loss I saw as well. So.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah, should have watched the Arsenal game instead. Not really. It worked great. At least you got to see some good goals.
Yes, yeah. Tielemans' one was our end as well, so that was a cracker.
Oh yeah, what did it look like from your angle?
An absolute screamer.
How did you like? Did you know when you see whenever I see good goals against Arsenal? Sometimes I just go, you know what? I don't care. Like,
no, a lot of people in and around me did do that. It was like, what can you do about that? Really, it wasn't a great header out, but no one legislates for a 20-yard volley that pings in off the post. So yeah, it's
also playing for you. Like we played football and that. Like, do you know with a spinning ball like that? Yeah, hard. If the ball's coming straight, like it's still good, but then I'm like, oh yeah, like. I mean, we could do that when it's not spinning. But when you're seeing the ball spinning, how many times would we like shank that and it'd go out?
Yeah. It was unbelievable. That was a great finish. The Maddison one was a great finish.
Yeah.
Vardy's was obviously a tap in, and I can't even remember who scored the second goal.
Oh yeah. I forgot Harvey Barnes. Yeah,
that was just a standard goal. That was just a 1-2.
He loved it, man. To defend. He loved it as the former West Brom guy. Yeah, he should have. I saw a still image of every single Wolves fan in the photo was doing something. To certain gestures, and that's all I'll say. But for Brentford, a lot of injuries to their defense really, with Pontus Jansson, Aaron Hickey, and Christian Norgard being out, as well as their backup goalkeeper in Thomas Strakosha. But I'm not too mad about that because it's that David Risen goal. For Wolves, though, is there any good news? Not really, because Totti Gomez is also out with an injury. He's touch and go whether he'll return for the weekend. But yeah, so that's adding to their already quite deep injury list with a small squad that you have. It's a bit similar to Arsenal in that sense, with no Chiquinho, no Raul Jimenez, no Sasa Kalajic, and of course no Pedro Neto. So we've gone through 3 games there, guys. Make sure you smash your predictions in for this one here, as we are going to end with those 3 games. We'll go back to the first one that we mentioned, which was Fulham at home to Everton. What is your prediction for this one here, bro?
Yeah, I think for this one, it's 2 teams sort of in fits and starts have looked good. Fulham obviously have looked better overall this season where they are in the league. I'm going to back them, I think, at home. I think I'm going to back them. I think I'm going to go 2-1. 2-1 to Fulham.
Do you know what? For that reason, I'm going to back Everton. I think, Frank Lampard's for that. I really like the job that Frank Lampard's doing at Everton. And I think Dominic Calvert-Lewin back can give him another element into that side and help them get back to the, get to the level that that Everton fans want them to do. My cat keeps going to the side, man. I think Everton are going to nick it. I'm going to say a 1-0 Everton win. Battle of the strikers, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin will win it. And then in for the next game, Palace against Southampton. Massive game for Crystal Palace. There's been some talk about Patrick Vieira from the Crystal Palace fan base, especially, check out Eagle Eye Football on Twitter. Did a Twitter space talking about that. He's hitting his first real rocky patch, I would say, at Patrick Vieira, where there's doubt. Every single manager hits this, where there's doubts surrounding them. Even Pep Guardiola's, he faced it very early on in his career at Manchester City. Every single manager has it. Jurgen Klopp's kind of going through it now.
Yep.
It doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be a failure, but it doesn't also necessarily mean because they faced it, he's going to get through it and he's going to be a success. Massive game. They have to win this one here. But Southampton, very weird. Like, they're the weirdest side in the Premier League. Like, they can beat anyone on their day.
Bizarre team. That performance against Chelsea it didn't feel like a fluke, did it? But then compare it to most of the other games they played, they're nowhere near it. So they're a very strange team. They're a strange team. Che Adams can either look like, the next Nicolas Anelka, sort of getting in behind and flicking it in, and then he can look like, a deadbeat striker one week. It doesn't make any sense.
Exactly. So for that reason, I'm going to go with a Crystal Palace 2-0 win. What about you, bro?
Yeah, I'm going to back Palace. I'm going to back Palace to win 1-0. 1-0, just the Zaha, Elise sort of, that slight difference up front. I think he's going to be the difference.
I'm not sure if you saw this, Ed, but a certain Arsene Wenger spoke to Elise and told him in French that he needs to score more goals.
Well, he does. That's a given. In whatever language he does need to, the output needs to be better because it's all, it looks great up until the output, doesn't it? But if Elise, Eze, and Zaha sort of get to Zaha is at his potential, but if the other two can get near his level, that's an unbelievable sort of
creativity.
Creative three behind a striker.
Exactly. Speaking of output, I'll let you talk about Wolves, bro. Give me your prediction and your thoughts.
My prediction is Brentford are going to win. My prediction is Brentford are going to win quite comfortably.
Shock.
I'm going to say Brentford are going to win 3-0. This is a despicable Wolves team with no effort, no passion, no heart, no tactics, no backroom staff. They're all unfit. They're not interested. Only Neves was bothered last week. Collins and Kilman are looking slow all of a sudden because we sacked Bruno Lage and all of his backroom staff. So there's no one there to make sure that they're all keeping fit, doing what they're supposed to be doing. We haven't brought in a manager. We look completely bereft of ideas up front. Diego Costa looked slower than me on a football pitch, and he shouldn't be. I don't see anything good out of this other than Jose Sarr pulling off some kind of Dean Henderson miracle and making it 0-0. And he's got a broken wrist, so he's dealing with a boss.
Exactly. He's been the Black Country and Ed there, saying the boss stand. If you don't know what it means, broken wrist translated. But what we're going to say is that, all right, can we make a gentleman's agreement?
What's that?
Right, so you're saying Wolves are going to lose, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Can I say if Wolves don't lose, so if you draw or win, yeah? If you draw or win, can you shave your beard off and we go clean shaven?
No, because T should kill me.
I know, that's what I want to do it. I know you don't mind.
This goes off and I look 12, so no.
Exactly. That's all I like it. Ask him for ID. He actually does.
Yeah, it's true.
I remember I was there. They didn't ask me when I was 14. So yeah. Oh man. Yeah. Brentford Wolves. I'm gonna go with a draw. I'm gonna say a 1-1 draw. Wolves, come on. Wolves, I'll
snap your hand off for that.
I know, literally, but then you'd be left with no goalkeeper. So yeah, you'd probably actually slap Jose Sarr's hand.
Joel Ward had a good go at it and didn't get sent off. So yeah.
I like that. I like that, Ed. I like that. Respect like that. I like that. But let's see your predictions in the chat, guys. We've got plenty of comments to run through. Sorry, guys, we didn't get through much in that period. We just tried to wrap them up so that we could not really spend too much time talking about Wolves for Ed's sake. You know what I mean? Exactly. So yeah, let's have a look right now. Let's see what you're saying. Cyril asking, what's Ed's socials? Where can you find? Where will you be found, Ed?
Here.
And the
Discord, yeah. Make sure you get in the Discord. That's the only thing I do have. So yeah.
If
you're not in the Discord, get in the Discord.
There you go.
Where every now and again people just bully me for having a rubbish team to follow. So.
You set yourself up. You usually bring them up. That's why. Oh man. Ed has to go off to throw up with all this.
Did I miss Villa talk? Something good came with the computer shutting down for no reason.
Exactly. I'm not sure if the computer shut down. I think he pulled the plug. But that's it. Fulham 1-1 versus Everton. Yeah, it could definitely be a draw there. Could see that happening. This should be a good game. 3-2 Fulham. Loads of goals. Wilf and Creambone, doing their thing in there, chatting. Why is he will be playing amazing for Everton? He was crap at Arsenal. He wasn't that bad at Arsenal.
No, I don't remember him being bad. He kind of burst onto the scene, didn't he? Then didn't really live up to expectations more than anything, wasn't it?
He weren't crap, but he weren't he's not Saka. You know what I mean? It's not that. But I think
the money Everton paid as well. Let's not forget.
Exactly. So he's a decent footballer, and Arsene Wenger liked him. He brought him through. But he's at his level, I think, and he's doing a great job, and he's in a new position. Credit to certain Frank Lampard. I know a lot, I didn't rate him as a player, but as a manager, I like him, man. Better than Gerrard as a manager. 2-1 Fulham, says Wilf. Crystal Palace 1, Southampton 0, says Pax. I'm going 2-1 Palace, Zaha and Eze to score. Look at Anthony doing his fidget spin again. We saw that. Do you remember we saw...
He's a busy player, isn't he? He's a busy player.
Oh, man. He's bored. He's on a football pitch, I'm telling you.
A lot of wasted energy.
Ain't it? I'm telling you, man. I'm going 2-1 Palace, to Zaha and Eze to score. Ed educates, coming in clutch again. Tereak talks and Ed educates. I like that. I like that, Pax. I keep bringing up you too, man. I keep bringing up you two's comments. Palace to bounce back by winning by 3-0. Big up yourself, Idris. Hope you're keeping good. He says, big up yourself, lads. Hope you're keeping well. You got. Hang on, didn't Idris get a perfect score in his first guess?
Yeah, he's only done one game and got it bang on.
Idris, where's your predictions, man? You got a perfect score. Come on, we need them. You can put these guys to shame. They're at the bottom. Brentford 1, Wolves 1. That's what I've gone with. Ivan, of course, he has to put Ivan Toney in there, and Diego Costa would have got. How this man hasn't scored, bro? Come on. He's actually not
played in 9 months, that's why.
But he's not played that bad. They're talking about the Anthony spin now. I don't want to hear what they're saying. I bet they're saying it's a whole load of nonsense because he played a crap pass after it as well. The Armstrongs are doing good. Stuart and Adam playing well. The Al-Yunusi is a good player too. Yeah, he's a good block he made. And Jay-Z's close game. I'm going for Diego Costa to get his first Wolves goal. And Wolves to win 2-1. Tony to score. Look at all this optimism. Look at this, Ed.
That's because I've not been watching as closely as me, that's why.
Yeah, he's been at the games, guys. He has been. Wolves are awful. I'd be a Villa fan if I was you.
You're all right.
Not the Villa.
I'll live.
There you go. Brentford will beat Wolves. Oh no, Idris with your perfect scores over, and then
well, he's not putting scores in, so it doesn't count.
Good night to yourself as well, David. Ties in here saying Palace to win. Team Palace. Wolves are trash. Yeah, pick up yourself, Ty. That's now you're talking Ed's language. But cheap Nevers deal on the cards if they get relegated.
Oh, don't. There's already rumours he's going in January. What the heck are we going to do if that happens?
Oh, just send him to Arsenal, man. We'll give you Sambi Lokonga on loan.
Oh, thanks. No, you're all right.
Oh man. I thought I was tried there. What are you giving him packs? McTominay. Jesus, Ed, Mateus is a good battler. Costa trying. Adama, best right winger in the Prem. What? No way. Did you see it? Did you see Adama have a race, by the way, outside Sainsbury's? Yeah, he had a race. He raced 2 kids during half term.
Oh no! I'm glad he's doing that instead of practicing crossing.
He was in his Wolves tracksuit and that, and he was racing 2 kids. I saw it, man.
I wish he stumbled across 2 kids doing a shooting drill.
Oh man, look at Paxson loving the Anthony spin right there. The solutions to Wolves is selling. There we go. I didn't even see this comment.
That's just Wolves losing twice.
No, you get a good young up and coming prospect.
We don't need a young up and coming prospect on loan. What are we going to do if he does do well and then you just have him back? No one wins out of that apart from Arsenal, so no.
Oh, we tried, King. We tried. It's not trying to deal with with Daniel Levy here. Scholes ripping into. Oh, was he ripping into it? Oh man, I wanted to see it. There you go, McFred. Easy 2 for 1.
I'll take that.
Oh, get lost, man. You know what, man? And you don't want
players. Oh, he's not saying loan either.
Okay.
2 actual human bodies.
They're probably about 700k a week, right there. That's what you've got. That's your whole budget gone for the rest of the 10 years on them 2. Okay, I think he's very good. Start again, fastest. That's better.
I'd agree with that.
I'll change my comments. Nah, it's all right, Rally. Don't worry.
I think I'm one of the few Wolves fans that actually likes him. So
Yeah.
I get it, and he makes things happen. But we can't afford his lack of end product right now.
Exactly. And the last comment is Adama is a sprinter on a football pitch. Absolutely no end product. Indeed. And guys, we are going to wrap this up here. It's 8:10, nearly 10:30. Right.
It's well past my bedtime.
Exactly that. And yeah, I got to get ready for my bed as well. You know what I mean? So people, it's been an absolute pleasure once again bringing you this Premier League preview show. My brother, thank you once again for joining me. It's been amazing, guys. If you're watching afterwards, get them in the comments down below. We need them in there. Thank you to each and every one of you for joining us tonight. You guys have made it. Even towards the end, when we just went through loads of your comments, we wasn't even on topic. We was talking about loads of things. This is what I love about this channel. And look at that. This is what I love to see. CM saying thank you for the show. Ted talks, and then we got lads cracking show again. This is what we like to bring. And guess what? We're going to be bringing plenty coming in the for the World Cup, and we'll have non-stop chat like this where we don't necessarily have topics to really talk about, but we'll talk and it'll be fun. And we'll be like free winging it there, freeloading. I was going to say, no, that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing, giving you content. Right exactly. Big up yourself, Ty. Hope you're keeping good. Thank you for coming in, and really appreciate you for coming in as well. Let's get the likes up. Subscribe to Tereak Talks. Roll to 600. You heard the man right there. 793. Ed, mate, I heard you're on the waiting list for a season ticket at Villa Park.
I don't think there's a waiting list, is there?
There should be a waiting list. No, man. There'll be waiting lists. I don't know. I'm going to go anyway. Share to your friends and frenemies. Really enjoyed it. Can't wait to watch more videos. Thank you very much. Love to you all, people. We are out. And yeah, catch you on the other side. Take care, people.